What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And welcome if it's your first time here. Guys, I've talked to you all here a lot about prepping, of course, since this is a prepping channel. I've also talked to you all about putting in infrastructure on your own property. Infrastructure to produce your own food. Garden areas, fruit trees, chicken coop to help produce some or even all of your own food. And even if you can't produce, all of your own food, if you have food storage put back, then being able to produce some of your food via, gardening and fruit trees and things, and hunting, gathering wild plants, raising domestic animals like chickens and things, you can use those methods to add food to your food storage to make your food storage last a lot longer. And also, you'll be able to get fresh fruits and vegetables to mix in and eat with that food storage, which will make you more healthier. The only really downside is getting everything set up and the work involved in actually producing that food. And there's ways that you can minimize, that work that you do, but getting it all set up is going to take some effort, and it usually takes a couple of years, especially if you're starting out with, soil that hasn't been worked and hasn't been enriched with the nutrients that it needs to actually grow healthy, productive vegetable plants. But anyway, guys, what I've been doing today is I actually started on these raised beds last fall, and I couldn't find any soil to actually fill these beds. And right now I have some soil coming here in a couple of days, and we'll fill these up the rest of the way. But I decided to go ahead and show you all what I've been doing here to explain sort of what I got going on. I'm gonna take the camera and turn it around here so I can show you what I've been doing. Okay, guys, here are the 4 raised beds that I put in last year. I built these frames last year, but like I said, I didn't have good quality soil to fill these with. But now I have some soil coming here in a couple of days. I've been working on some of this right now to get these ready to add other soil into. And you can see what I have going on here. I put leaves last fall in the bottom of this, and then I put the old wood on top of the leaves to hold those leaves down and help those start to decompose. And then this right here is compost that I've added to this. And like I said, I have 4 of these set up right now. These are 20 inches deep. These are 2 by 10s, 8 foot long. Like I said, 20 inches deep. And I'll have these filled all the way to the top with a good growing soil here in a couple of days, and these will be ready for planting. I have more in this one right here, as you can tell. This one don't need too much more added to it. I want to add it up to about 1 inch or 2 inches below the top of that. So that's looking pretty good right now. You might have noticed this solar powered electric fence around this box here, and that's because Rusty, he enjoys jumping up in there and digging the crap out of that and burying things in that dirt. And he's going to learn better than to be doing that, because when I get that filled all the way and get that planted, and I can't have him going in there and ripping those plants up and messing everything up. So he'll crawl up in there, he'll get a little shock from that solar charger, and hopefully that will teach him to stay out of the raised beds. And speaking of the devil, as they say, what you doing, bud? What you doing? You gotta learn not to be getting up in the box and digging and digging and digging until you dig everything up and mess everything up. You can cost me a lot of money that way, dog, and a lot of time wasted. But anyway, guys, I've also been down here tilling up my main garden area. We'll go in here and look at that right now. Also, like I said, you have to actually start working, start doing, and it takes time, but it can be done. And even if you have just a small property, a half an acre, you can do a lot on that half an acre. You'll be surprised if you use the right growing methods after a couple of years what you all can produce. You can see I've been working right here. This is my main garden area right here. This is approximately 15 foot wide by 60 foot long. You can tell it's more longer than it is wide. And I've tilled this up. I went over it one time today, and I'll go over this probably another 6 or 7 times before I actually end up planting this. So I want to get that down in there about a foot deep, dug up, and I've been working on this here for several years now. I've actually planted this same garden area for the last 4 years, and every year it gets better. That's because the soil gets better. I add, you remember last year I posted a video. If you were watching last year, I uploaded a video where I was getting this garden area ready for winter, and I added compost, and then I added, as you can see some in there, the straw on top of that to let that decompose and during the winter months, in the fall and the winter and in the spring here. And now I've tilled this back up, and I will go over this like I said 5 or 6 more times to get this really good and tilled up, and then I will plant corn, beans, and squash. I'll plant the corn, three rows of sweet corn all the way through, and then I will plant pole beans close to the sweet corn, and then those pole beans will grow up that sweet corn, and it will the corn will help be like a trellis to support those beans, and those beans will help support the corn. It works together in harmony. And then on the outside of that, I will plant squash on the outside. So this through here will be all sweet corn, pole beans, and squash in this garden area. And up there, what I showed you up there will be tomatoes, peppers, and things like that, you know. But this here is my main garden area where I grow mainly corn, beans, and squash. The Cherokee actually used a method that was coined the Three Sisters growing method, and they would make like 6 foot round mounds, and they would plant corn in the center, then plant pole beans to grow up the corn, then plant squash on the outside perimeter of that mound, and that would grow out, and that squash will actually shade the ground to help keep moisture in there. So it all works together and works in harmony to help one plant helps the other one be more stable, and helps the other plants actually grow and retain moisture. It's a great system, and that's what I use right here. A version of that anyways. Like I said, I put it in rows, the corn, pole beans, and squash. But I've added to this for the last 4 years compost. I've tilled it up, and that helps break the soil up and helps get, you know, grass and things that grows in this will be tilled up in there, and then that will rot and build this soil up. I've also added wood ashes to this and chicken manure from the chicken coop down there. Like all the hens are up inside the coop, looks like, because I don't see any down here in the bottom right now. But add all that in here, and over the last 4 years it's actually turned into a fairly good soil, as you can see right here, and getting better all the time. But guys, as with most things, you know, it takes work and it takes time to put in infrastructure. But right now is a great time to start if you haven't already, because hard times are coming, guys. We're going to be seeing hyperinflation. Right now we're seeing inflation, but in the near future it's going to turn into hyperinflation. We're going to see more things happen with this virus pandemic. This isn't over, and I think they have something else planned for that, but I can't get into that here on YouTube. Go to BitChute and look at a few videos over there. There's a few there that you can find that explains a whole lot, and things you won't find here on YouTube, because YouTube is heavily censored. But guys, need to get to work, and now's a great time to do that. If you have a backyard, like I said, this here is 15 by about 65 to 70 feet long, and that's a decent sized garden area, and you'd be surprised what you can grow in that area, in that size of area. And if you have a side yard or a backyard, you know, you can have the same thing fairly easily. Get a tiller. I got the tiller over there at Walmart about 7 years ago, I think it was. I've had it in the shop one time. It had to have the carburetor rebuilt on it. because I didn't use 100% gasoline. That is the key to using, you know, small engines and making them last, is to only use 100% gasoline. The ethanol in that gasoline that you typically buy for your vehicle, doesn't work well on those small engines. And I made a mistake and had some on hand and put it in there during the fall season, and I used it to till it up to get it ready for fall and winter. Then I put my tiller up, and it sat for a couple of months, and that ethanol turned into water pretty much, and it wouldn't start, and it messed the carburetor and everything up in there, so I had that rebuilt. But now, no problems at all. It was around $650 at Walmart. It's a yard machine. It's made a lot like the Troy-Bilt tillers. However, it's not the Troy-Bilt tiller. It's a yard machine that I got at Walmart, like I said, 7 years ago. And other than that, it's been great. Runs good, works good. You can see right here, I'm still using it, and I would be using it another 5 or 10 years from now at least, hopefully longer than that. But you can invest in something like that and start tilling and working your yard up, adding compost to it, adding things to it to build that soil up every year. And in a couple of years, depending on the condition of your soil when you first start, in a couple of years, year, 2, 3 years, you have a great garden soil built up to grow a lot of your own produce. And the bigger you can go, the better off you are. I would like to eventually, as you can see, this hill it's kind of, this part here is pretty level, but over here it wants to grade off down the hill here. I would like to, in the future, add a wall through here up about 2 foot high, and add a whole lot of more good quality dirt over on this, and build this up to make this level up on this side also, and to make this even larger garden area right here. The bigger your garden area, the more you can grow, but also the more work it takes to get it set up and to actually tend that garden. But anyway, guys, enjoyed the video, give it a big old thumbs up. Thanks guys for watching. Me and Rusty, we're out of here.